crazy releases we don't know if ever come. We do know something that is coming, and there might
Yes.
be a little caveat that people may not be a fan of in this day and age. You know, Mike?
Gi- Give it to us. Let's talk about what we covered last week: the detachable disk drive.
The new PS5's detachable disk drive reportedly needs an internet connection for setup, Mike. Piece of hardware that's
Why?
not a game needs an internet connection.
Oh,
There you go.
jeez. So
Chris
stupid.
Welch. Chris Welch over at The Verge covered this one. After you've paired the console and optical drive, you'll be in the clear, but some are already annoyed by the requirement. It's Chris is very intrigued by Sony's revamped PS5 and its removable disk drive. It streamlines the console's manufacturing process, and the new model is a good amount smaller than the original, even if it doesn't necessarily look so from every angle. But there might be one noteworthy quirk with the new $500 disc conversion. It's likely you'll need an internet connection to get the optical drive working with the PS5 hardware it's attached to. As noted by Video Games Chronicle, this is according to images of the box for an upcoming Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 PS5 bundle that will ship next month. At the bottom of the back, there's a line that says internet connection required to pair disk drive to PS5 console upon setup. The going theory, based on how Sony has previously linked its optical drives and motherboards, is that there's a required handshake between the two hardware components that validates authenticity, creates a unique pairing between them. Of course, to show the tweet, Charlie Intel. Some additional images of the Modern Warfare 3 PS5 Slim bundle. The back says 150 gigabyte minimum. Also says 90 gigabytes plus download required to play. Bundle is available November 10th. I would open the images. I don't want to open up Twitter and everything, but pretty much like the actual branding is nothing crazy too, because it's just like here's a PS5 with a little picture of the game in the corner. Like it's
Pretty
not,
much, yeah.
yeah, it's not nothing wild or anything. Once you've done that, there won't be any need for an internet connection again. But the fact that one exists to begin with has already alarmed some people who are envisioning a time long in the future when Sony inevitably shuts down whatever server was responsible for the disk drive verification.
Yep.
What happens then? Considering that physical media is tragically on such a decline, maybe there are bigger worries to deal with first. Still, any kind of internet required fine print will always surface memories of Microsoft's disastrous Xbox One event.
Yep.
Always online, baby. DRM. Remember that? Dude,
Oh my
do
gosh, so
you like
stupid.
do you remember when Sony completely dunked on them when they released the
Oh
video of
yeah.
the two people? How do you share a game on PS4? And they just handed the game to the other
Yep.
person. They just dogged them so hard. So funny.
Now I feel like they're about to do the same thing as Microsoft. You know what I mean?
Microsoft needs to
Like,
clap back all these years later.
hmm,
Mm.
imagine. So, how do you feel about the disk drive? If it needs to have some type of handshake, would that be a permanent handshake? Is it a marriage? You know, can I
Ooh,
like take
ooh.
can I
Like
take the disk drive out and then go to like my buddy's place who has this console, but he doesn't have the disk drive? You know what I mean?
it's true. I mean, it's weird how that works. It makes me think that like my theory is that if you wanted to use a disk drive on another console, it wouldn't necessarily like you could do it, but it would probably have to make that handshake again on a new console just to
Yeah.
verify it's like a Sony product. That's my theory. It'd be
I hope
really,
that's the
really
case.
stupid if it's like you got the disk drive, but you could not use it on another system. Because like, what if your
Yeah.
PS5 breaks? You send it in, they send you out a new one. But like, dude, I mean, you send the disk drive
Yeah.
with it, or like, would you have to send the disk drive with it at that point? Like, would you be able to just take it off? I don't know, you know. So it's kind of crazy.
I don't.
I don't know, man. It's weird, right? Like, why they would need the handshake for that. It's
I maybe it's to get rid of like you said, a Sony proprietary equipment kind of thing.
yeah,
And they don't want to situate like this kind of reminds me a little bit of like how Nintendo is, where they don't really like people using non-Nintendo products with their devices.
yeah.
Like it all has to be encompassing, kind of like the Apple way, like Apple everything. So I wonder if Sony's trying to go that route and just saying, no, you can't have a like because there's going to be third-party people that are going to make a disk drive that will connect to this console. But if you need this internet connection to do the handshake that they're talking about, then that market is essentially destroyed on arrival, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting point. I mean, just the last little bit of the article too. It says it doesn't seem to be nearly on the level of the disastrous Xbox One event, but it's another example of hardware manufacturers locking down their products and making repairs all the more challenging.
Yep.
All right to repair, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I can't repair my own devices. I can't
You
crack
don't.
that thing
The
open.
the problem that they're talking about here, where you have to have like be on these servers, right? Is you don't actually own the products that you own now. It's like
Yeah,
the physical media that any Xbox game now you have to download to your hard drive or authenticate it, and then like the disc is now just a key to start it, and you had to
sure
be
is.
online or something. Like it's a pain in the ass because it's also taking up a lot of space for like storage.
Yeah,
How many times have you had to like I know you don't game on Xbox much anymore, but when you did, especially with Call of Duty, Modern Warfare and the Warzone, like how many like a new game would come out and you would have to uninstall Warzone because it's like 160 freaking gigs.
yeah, literally.
And yeah, but then what happens when those servers go down? You can't play those games again because you have to be
You
connected
can't.
online to verify that you own the products that you don't actually own anymore.
Yeah. And I mean that's the thing too, right? I mean, look, back in the day, it was very much like on the 360, right? Like we
Yeah.
eventually discovered that like a lot of those games, if you were to just install it on the hard drive,
Hmm.
you would obviously need the disk to still boot the game up, but
Yeah.
it would run a lot better and more smoothly generally, right? Because you're not having to spin that disk at a million RPM like the entire time you're playing, so
Exactly. And
it's less
like
stress on the
scratch
console.
damage stuff. Yeah.
So I
True.
mean, there is that. I think I also think part of it too, especially nowadays, is like when you a lot of these games, like I think physical media is sort of falling behind the size requirements that are needed for these 150
Oh, you were
gigabyte
right.
games. So
You
like
were
there is
100% correct.
legitimate hardware limitations to that I feel. So it's
Yes.
like they can only put so much on the disk, so they have to leverage a server to be able to say, "Hey, get the rest of this game onto this person's console so that they can actually play the full experience." Um, I feel like that's probably part of it now, right? And
That's definitely part of it
I
now.
mean, even with Final Fantasy, right? Like the new Final Fantasy Part Two, 7 Part Two or whatever. Like it's two
Yeah,
discs on a PS5. Come on.
it is massive.
Um, and I don't know how that works on PlayStation. I'm assuming you still have to download something to play that game on PlayStation. I'm not sure, um, but I mean that could be an example of it trying to fit a giant game. They needed two discs, right? Like one just wasn't enough. And COD, guarantee you, probably bigger than that game. I forget how big. I don't even know they said how big Final Fantasy was gonna be, but I don't know.
Massive.
Point being, it's huge
I don't
games, right?
remember how big
Like,
it is. Yeah,
it's huge games, so we're already getting to the point where these Blu-ray discs are running out of space.
that's
It's
true. I
wild.
mean, I get the whole aspect of like, I don't like it, but I understand it about having to download the games to the hard drive and stuff. But why is this disk drive having to be online? Like, you should
Yeah,
be able to turn like you should be able to turn the console on, connect it to the internet, download whatever stupid handshake update that they need, and then disconnect your device from being online and then be able to just plug it in. It should be like a system update. It shouldn't be like,
yeah,
okay, plug in the new device and then run an Ethernet to it or like connect to the Wi-Fi. You know,
yeah. It's ridiculous, right?
uh, I don't really agree with it at all.
Yeah, yeah. It seems weird. It seems kind of like unnecessary, and I just it's very strange,
Yeah.
right? Like I just want to use my disk drive, man. Like I want to read games. That's it. I just want to be able to plug it in. It reads
Hmm.
stuff. It doesn't have to talk to the internet. Just that was what I was
I
like
will say,
hoping for with something like this.
I will say that the servers going offline for these types of updates and stuff. I wonder if people are going to archive them like they've done in past games. There are games from like the original Xbox days that you had to update, but you had to be connected to the internet to download the update. Because back then it was physical media. They're not going to send
Right.
you a flash drive to plug into your Xbox. There was no USB port, you know?
Yeah.
Um, that's we're also talking like 20 years ago that was the thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
things have changed for the better, but also like I don't know. I feel some type of way about having to connect to the internet just to use a device that I've already paid for. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't sit well, and it never will. I feel like at least I'm kind of in the same mood. I don't feel like it'll ever be. It'll ever feel like ever feel right. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna like. It's not a huge deal where I'm like riding the company, but I think it's like it's just frustrating as a consumer is all. Um.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what the appeal is about Nintendo because when you own a Nintendo game, you own the game. You can play that whenever.
It's on that little cart, baby.
Yep. Yep.
Get in.
It might be a little bit less graphic intensive,
Yeah.
detailed. But hey, man,
Hey man, you
if you're
try
playing a
to.
shooter anyway on PC, you're dumbing that thing down to nothing so you get all the iframes.
You are, man. And look, dude.
Yes, sir.
And just remember, kids, don't eat the Switch carts. Don't do it.
Please
I tried
don't.
that once. It tastes like poo poo.
What?
You know? Bro, you don't know
You tried
about
to
that?
eat it? You tried to eat
Oh,
a
I didn't
Switch
eat
card?
it, but like, you ever tried to lick a Switch cartridge?
No. Why?
Oh, I know you have a Switch cartridge. Oh, I know you have one, Mike.
Of course I do.
Oh,
That's
you
all I
need to.
do is like when I have a Switch, I always buy the physical media because of this crap. And also Nintendo doesn't make games for longer than 2 years.
Dude, that's hilarious. I'm surprised you didn't know that. Get a Switch
What?
cart right now, Mike. Do it.
Why?
Get one
I'm
right
not
now.
licking
This is
it. I'm not
content.
licking
This
it
is
on the pod,
content.
dude. I'm
Come
not
on,
licking it
bro.
on the pod.
You don't have to
man.
like. You said like.
Well, here's the problem. I gotta walk in the other room. The dog's gonna get all excited, and that's a whole
fair.
thing.
It's fair. Just bring it next
Why
time,
do I-
man. Shake my head on this guy.
All right, fine. I guess I'll do it next
So
episode for
what-
the content. For the
You
content.
said, "What do I need to trust it? Just trust me. This is content. Like, gotta do
All right.
it." Well, see
All right,
now,
we'll bring it back.
see now, you're gonna Google it and figure out why. You know, it doesn't matter. You know what, Mike?
I'm not gonna Google it. I'm just gonna look at you weird as hell and try to figure that out later. Do you know how weird it's gonna be when I go out there and open up a Switch cartridge in the living room? Just
He says to do it. You have to do it in the living room. This guy.
hey man, I'm committed.
You know what, dude? It's okay. It's
All
okay, Mike. I forgive you.